Hello everyone, I am Shivamankan and today we will be going through one of the genres of a case study interview. So management case study interview is typically divided into different genres. One such genre is profitability. And if you understand these genres and how to process how these genres are structured, it becomes very easy to navigate throughout the interview and have a structured framework in your head while you're solving. So we are gonna explain. So I'm gonna explain you this genre today and make you very comfortable with one of the most common management case study interviews, which is profitability. So a profitability case could deal with revenue side issues and cost side issues or both. A candidate is expected to identify the key revenue and cost heads and isolate the problem areas. Okay, so typically profitability is divided into either revenue side or cost side, and you have to figure out where exactly is the problem coming from, what are the major revenue heads. Important notes, initial questions. So there are okay, okay. Let's see what it says. Get primitive understanding of the company. What products or services does it offer? What geography does it cater to? Understand whether the company, whether this is a company specific problem or an industry wide problem. Keep in mind the quantum of profit loss and the time period. So initially, as I said, the profitability interview is divided into multiple segments. In the first segment is your job is to understand the company and what is the competitive scenario as a whole. And in profit and loss question, these are the initial very general set of questions which can be applied to most of the profitability questions to understand more of the company's situation. So in this, you have to ask for what product or service does they offer, what geography does they cater to, and get some questions on primitive understanding of the client's business. And then you have to understand is it a company-wide problem or industry-wide problem so that you can isolate where you have to focus it. And then you have to just keep in mind the time period and profit and loss genre when you are asking questions to understand the company. Important notes, profit versus profitability. Profits are merely a difference of revenue and cost, while profitability refers to profit as a proportion of sales. Okay. I mean, this is not much relevant, but I think most of you guys are knowing the difference between profit and profitability. But profits are just the difference between revenue and cost, and profitability refers to profit as a proportion of, so percentage of sales is called profitability. Important notes, value chain analysis. Clearly lay the value chain to cover all the costs and ask the interviewer where to focus. Similarly, look at the customer's journey while analyzing decrease quantity sold. Okay. So, first of all, what is expected of you is whenever interview tells you a problem, you have to first list down all the possible reasons or solutions for it. So you have to lay down the entire value chain of the uh, product being manufactured or sold, and then ask the interviewer where to focus on. You cannot just directly ask where exactly is the problem coming from. The interview want to see how much exhaustive you can think in terms of coming up with the value chain. And then, yeah, in terms of decreasing quantity sold. So if the problem figured out was the quantity sold is being decreasing that and that is leading to decline in profitability. In this category, identify the customer journey. So where exactly the customer began and then how it and how was the post sale services. So entire journey of it you have to analyze and then figure out where the problems are. In this approach, the generic profitability question structure looks exactly or very similar like this. Is the profit is divided into revenue and cost. In revenue side, you have to see what is the price of the product and what is the units sold. And when you are analyzing the units sold, you have to break it down into the customer's journey, which is what is the need of the product, is the awareness of the product awareness marketing good enough to make the make to put the product in front of eyes of the customer? Is it accessible? Is if the customer wants to buy it, how, what are the sources they can buy it from? Is it affordable? And what is the customer experience at the end? And then the customer experience can also be divided into pre-transaction, during transaction, and post-transaction services. Hmm. And in terms of cost side, it is the whole supply chain is divided to figure out the cost, to pinpoint where the cost problem is coming from. So in cost, the cost starts with research and development, and then you purchase raw materials, then you process the raw materials, then you spend on storage and transportation, and then you spend on sales and marketing. And then after you have sold the product, you spend on customer service. So this is how the cost structure is working on. Let's see what are the alternative approach. While segregating cost, we can break down cost as fixed cost and variable cost. So instead of having a supply chain, you can also do a fixed cost and variable cost. It's very easy to miss out some point in fixed cost and variable cost. So that's why this method is preferred, because you can be very exhaustive in your list and cannot miss any point. But if you're confident enough that you have studied a market and you know all the categories where the cost can be coming from, you can also approach fixed cost and list variable cost structure. So, and for alternative approach for revenue is problem with unit sold can be looked at from the demand and supply side lens. Okay, so rather than breaking it to the customer's journey, you can also look in what is the demand and what is the supply side. Factors affecting revenue can be bucketed as internal and external factors. Okay, it can also be internal and for revenue, revenue can also be broken down into internal and external factors. And internal factors include uh, production, R&D issues, manufacture, manufacturing issues, which are labor, machinery, and packaging. Uh, Distribution push factors, distribution channels, number of distributions, margins offered, or customer pull factors, which is production and promotion. So let's see what is happening here. So in internal factor, in internal factors, you can include production, distribution, and customer pull and push customer pull factors. So distribution is push, consumer is pull factors, and production is your production of the product. So in production, you have R&D, manufacturing, research and development issues, then manufacturing issues, which include labor, machinery, and packaging. And in the distribution factors, which you have number of distribution channels and margin offers. And in the customer pull factor, you have the product and promotions. External factors can be examined by conducting a pestle analysis. Pestle analysis is something which we're going to study later. Okay, so cost reduction, which is one of the subcategory of profitability, is how to reduce cost of your production. Is also very important to understand what are the sub points in all it in all. So to go through this approach to reduce the cost of the of anywhere in the supply chain of the product, we have to understand what are the subcategories of each uh, point so that you can look into it. So, in a cost reduction case, a company is likely to aim for becoming more profitable by reducing their bottom line. An interviewee is expected to first identify various cost components, followed by validating them, identify major cost drivers along with levers affecting their values, uh, and finally recommend how the company can change its ways to become more cost efficient. Okay. So first, let's list down the all the points in all the list down all the cost components, which are research and development, then raw material processing, storage and transportation, distribution, uh, and then marketing, and then customer service. In research and development, you have to spend on equipment, human capital, and cost of finance. In raw material, you have to spend on initial cost of raw materials, contract and bulk deals, and quantity used. So you have to look into these factors, which you can improve to reduce cost. In processing, you have to spend on machinery, factory rent, labor hours, technology, capacity utilization, and packaging. Capacity utilization is one of the most common problems which I've seen, that the interview leads to figuring out the capacity was not utilized. So don't forget that point. And packaging. Uh, Storage and transportation. Transport to warehouse, storage, then and storage you have to spend on rent, labor, and inventory, and then transport to customers. So first you transport to warehouse, then you store in warehouse, and then you transport to customers. In distribution, you have distribution channel, sales force, and training of your distribution employees. In marketing, you have marketing channels and strategy. And in customer service, you have repairs, spare parts, and returns. Okay, let's see. Framework summary. A company can reduce cost and become more efficient across its component. The best way is to look at the journey of a product service, right from the time its raw materials are bought to the time it is delivered to the customer and he's happy after the post-sale support, etc. This is called a value chain analysis, as each step of the process adds some value to the initial raw material and accelerates its journey towards the final product. At each of these stages, we expect to find such levers which can be tweaked to make the process more efficient. Okay. Tips. Clarify objectives, especially the cost buckets the interviewer wants you to delve into. So it's very important not to assume anything and not to go into detail in all the points. You just list down all the points and then clarify where exactly you have to focus on, and ask the interview when in doubt of the are you going in the right direction or not. Okay. Cost cost cases are generally very streamlined till the time you are identifying places where the cost can be reduced. Creativity comes into play when recommendations are asked by the interviewer. Okay. Yeah, you have to really think creatively when you are recommending or suggesting solutions. Key questions. Is this particular company facing a problem of high cost, or is it something that the industry is facing as a whole? Very important, because it tells you exactly where to focus on, because you might be focusing on the company and the problem might be industry wide. So the interview might lead to a very different direction and you might not be able to, it might be very difficult to come back to the original pinpoint where the original problem is coming from. Then ask this question very for sure. Is it the industry wide problem or a company problem? Chalk the value chain and then ask if it is the correct way to do it, or should it be done by splitting fixed and variable cost. Uh, uh, One thing, keep in mind that the interviewer is not there to make it difficult for you. He is there to help you out, because you are trying to go in a uncharted territory and figuring out where exactly the problem coming from. And then sometimes you might not have the idea of the industry at all. So the interviewer is also there to help you, but you have to show that you can think with for first principles exhaustively, and you know different ways how to split the problem. And if you're not sure if you should use a value chain analysis or fixed cost or variable cost, chalk it out first. Draw the value chain analysis first and ask the interviewer where exactly to focus on, or you should use a fixed cost or variable cost analysis. The interviewer will definitely help you out. What are the last 3 year trends in growth for an organization? Okay, it tells you a pattern and helps you to focus on what exactly what where the problem is coming from, because you can ask if there is a discrepancy in some of the years, or you can ask what changed in that year, or what did the company do in that year differently which led to change to this change. And also you can understand the growth rate on which the company was operating in, what is the current situation. Any major shift in the cost over time is also very good point to get really fast to the problem. Uh, does any of these costs seems out of line? If you have missed out any point or you are going in some wrong direction where which you're not needed, asking this question is gonna put you back on track. So, I hope you guys learned a lot on how a profitability question is being addressed and how you have to structure it to solve it, and what is the exhaustive list of different subcategories of each cost component you have to look into when you're solving a profitability interview. And if you have this in mind, solving a profitability interview will be a piece of cake for you. You can think of any industry where you can apply such framework and figure out the problems and solutions for them. So happy solving case study interviews, and good luck if you have a case study interview coming up. And do subscribe to the channel because I'll be uploading theory of different genres of management case study interview. One such was profitability, next is market analysis. And so on. And if you have an idea of how to think in different genres, it becomes very easy for you to crack any case study interview. So please do subscribe to the channel and have a nice day. Thank you.